All right, welcome, welcome. We're at the end of this course, and the rest of the face-to-face class, or you may be doing this remotely and doing your Raspberry Pi project, which is an awesome project to do. If you've decided to invest the money to do that, then you're spending time doing that. You're going to turn in your results, and that Raspberry Pi project will definitely be some extra credit for you in that doing. However, that is not something that I mandate, right? It's not something that I say you have to have this. There really is a lot in this course already. We're at the point where it's time to study. And so in this video, we're going to take a look at the first certification that's offered in TestOut. So let's share the screen here and get going. TestOut IT Fundamentals Pro, that's what we're looking at. This is TestOut's test. It's their test. It's not CompTIA's test, it's TestOut's test. Now, the interesting thing about this particular certification, because it is a certification, is that it's all hands-on. It's all about the labs they gave you. If you've been doing the labs, then you've been prepping already. If you've tried to remember anything from those labs and not just get through the lab, then you're really a step ahead. They give you one shot for free. So you bought TestOut, and part of that was to get basically a voucher that's included for this TestOut Fundamentals Pro. And I give my students two options. The rest of this class, which means the rest of these few weeks, don't sit on your backside and relax. Too often I have students that are way behind on all this information, and they have to spend it just catching up, right? Just getting through the class. Right now, you should be done with all that information and you're ready to actually prep for a certification. Why would you want this one? Well, again, this one really only matters if you're putting it on your resume and you're prepared to explain it to somebody. In other words, if you went out to get a job, everybody knows what CompTIA IT Fundamentals Plus is. Not everybody knows what TestOut IT Fundamentals Pro is. And so you'd have it on there and they would say, well, what is this TestOut IT Fundamentals Pro certification you have? And then you would tell them, oh, I had to do all this hands-on. I had to, and you go through all these explanations of the simulations they gave you of really changing that setting in Windows. I had to show I could actually do it. And that'll be impressive to them. I'm not joking. I want everybody to come out of this class with IT Fundamentals Pro. I will tell you in the past, that is not what happens. Most people blow off a lot of stuff. They get weeks behind in what they're doing. And by the time they get to the end, they don't have enough time to study for these, and they end up with a C in the class if they've completed everything else, right? The C only gets you, I completed everything else. If you didn't complete everything else, then you got a D. You know, that's not the grade you wanted. So this portion, what we're going to look at here is the objectives and what you're going to do. So here's the TestOut Pro exam objectives. They tell you flat out, this is what you're going to do. This is what we expect you to know. And they tell you where it is. So they tell you what module that is in. Use a cable modem to connect to the internet, troubleshoot network connections, manage mobile Bluetooth devices. They're telling you flat out, this is what we're going to test you over. Now, I'm going to go back so we can see what the next one down is a little easier than just hitting the forward button. Now we're going to take a look at the pro objectives by course section. All right, so each section, this is what you went through, and this is what we're going to tell you, have you test over. So they're telling you up front, this is what it is. If you wanted to know up front before you ever even prep for it, they're telling you that's what it is. Now, how do you take the pro exam? I actually have to schedule it, which I will do. So when the time comes, I'll give you the opportunity to have a range of time that you could take this certification in. And so once I do that, you'll be able to select the certifications tab, and then you'll be able to navigate to that certification and select start exam, and away you go. So then they give you some information about how that happens, but you will not just see that sitting there. it will be sitting there when I schedule it, and I'm not going to schedule it way ahead of time. I'm going to schedule it when we're towards the end, right? During our finals week, basically. But you won't find it the way you usually have. That's what I'm saying. So you won't be in Canvas and say, oh, here's the link that takes me over to the actual certification test. You'll have to be in TestOut, and then you'll be able to go to the certifications tab on the top navigation menu, and that's where you'll find it. All right, so then this portion, let's take a look at what this portion. This is actually getting you ready for things. And notice this has got 16 questions on it, and it comes from this objective 1. What do they mean objective 1? Well, that's back here. Objectives by course selections. 1, objective 1, right? That's where that's coming from. So let's jump back down there. That's got 16 questions on it. This one's got 11, 16, 20, 11, 19, 14, no time limit. And then there's this one, this Pro Certification Practice Exam. Here's the idea. Here's the concept. You want to go through each of these sections as many times as possible so that you're getting a passing grade on all of this. This is how you study for a certification test. It is not like going into a college biology test where they give you a big old handout and you're flipping through it and just studying like crazy off of this study guide. You're coming straight into questions, you're doing those questions, and the ones you get wrong, you find out why you did it wrong. Then you come back into the test and you do it again. The idea is not to memorize the information. The idea is to use these as a learning tool, to focus your attention on what you don't know. That's why this stuff is so awesome, because you can start off, for instance, in operating systems here. Let's start the exam. And we do not have enough time for me to do all of it. But you are going to hit, like you'll look at this one and say, okay, set the display to this. Set the screensaver to ribbons, configure the screensaver to active for 10 minutes, and require the user to log on before resuming. Okay, I know how to do that. And you launch the lab and you go and do it. Right? You launch it and here it is on the side, just like you've normally seen. And you're like, oh, I got to set the display resolution to 16 by 900, you know, and so you start coming through and doing that. So it's 16 by 900. Yeah, keep changes because, you know, that's what they're having us do. All right, now I need to set the screensaver, right? You already know how to do that. So you get it done and you move on. This is obviously, I failed. But you get it done and you move on. Then you hit another question. You're like, wait a minute, I don't know how to do this one. And you run through it. You try to learn about why, what don't I know about it? What am I missing? And then that way, by the time you get to the end of this one, maybe you get like a 75 on it. And then you run through this again. So the answer to the question is, let's go ahead and score it. It's kind of like, you stink. Wow, the scoring is taking a long time. I'll go back to TestOut. So the answer to the question is, can I take these over and over again? Yes, you can take these over and over again. That's the idea. Take them over and over and over until you got 100% on all of them. Now, this one is your practice exam. I am not going to score this. I'm actually not scoring the other ones either. But I don't care. You come into this and go ahead and do it. The problem is that I think some people go, oh, well, the easiest thing is they'll come down here and do this one. It's got 20 questions, gives me 2 hours, and I'll do that one over and over. It's only going to give you 20 questions out of the hundreds that there are. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is do these over and over and over again, and then say to yourself, I want to know if I'm going to pass that actual certification test. I get a free shot at it. If I mess it up, then I'll have to talk to them and pay them again, and then they'll let me take it. So how am I going to know if I am going to pass that? Well, here you go. It's right here. So you go through these over and over and over again. You're getting really good grades on them. Then you say, okay, last step. I'm going to do this as a little demo for myself and see, can I pass the certification test? And when you get a 95 on it, then you're like, yes. All right, that's what it says here is the passing score. That's not passing. Passing is like an 80 something on this particular exam. But they're trying to tell you, hey, if you got a 95, you're set to go. There's no problem there, right? So you get a 95 or better, and then you know, I'm going to ace that certification test. This is the one that I want you to take unless you're going to do the other. So in the next video, I'm going to describe what the other one is like. You don't have to study for both of them, but I would say, honestly, you have enough time. Would it benefit you to get both of these? Yes, it will benefit you to get both of these, because you'll be able to put both of those on your resume and be able to talk about what both of them taught you. If you think, well, I don't have the time, then this is the one you're going for. This is going to be easier for you to do. That's what you're going to focus on for your final exam. So in the next video, we'll show you why you would focus on this one instead of this one if you're cramped for time.